Guys, we are back for another career mode video. But before we get into that, we are so close to 650,000 subscribers. If you guys could help me get one step closer, I would be much appreciated. 5K to go. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and clicking on another Tiametmarduk video. I really do appreciate it. Today we have the Belgian Grand Prix. I've been looking forward to this particular race for a while, knowing where, the car development has been going. We've been putting everything into our engine, and now we're going to see if we can score some points at some of the power tracks, Spa and Monza. I'm hoping that this rocket ship can carry us to some glory. But before that, more problems.
We have a problem regarding our driver. How do you want to handle this?
So after putting some time into the simulator, Armstrong feels that we should invest more in the chassis department. This will cost us some money, but we could see some improvements. It's either going to cost us money or second driver focus. There's actually not going to be any gain for any of us. I don't want my driver to be unfocused, so we'll just splash the cash.
Thanks. I appreciate you taking the time to help out.
Cash that we don't exactly have to flaunt around with. We currently don't have enough money to afford our teammates' contract for the second half of the season, believe it or not. We've only got 1.3 mil. And as I'm scrolling through the personnel and facility upgrades that I can buy, I've forgotten I need to buy my contract for a second driver for the rest of the season. So, I mean, regardless, we can't really afford anything anyway. So, we are stuck with the facilities that we do have. So, yeah, the immediate budget is going to have to go to our teammate, re-signing him. I think his value was like 2 million. So, it's quite expensive. Anyway, let's think about other things. Resources. We will upgrade the... Oh, what are we going to do? We can do the rear wing. That'll go on in time for the Dutch Grand Prix. So we've got the Dutch Grand Prix in between Spa and Monza. How weird is that? I swear that never happens. But there we go. It's a bit weird to have that flow interrupted. So with that knowledge in mind, it's probably worth doing we did just do the rear downforce upgrade. That'll go on in time for the Dutch Grand Prix. We are also going to do a tyre wear upgrade, which will help massively at the Dutch Grand Prix. Anything else? We do have a turbo durability upgrade, which failed recently. 135 resource points, and that'll be on the car. Also in time for the Dutch Grand Prix. Anyway, an interview with Will Buxton later. And, well, he didn't ask us some very nice questions, I'll put it that way.
Our income's solid at the moment. We should start considering where we can look to invest the profits we're making back into the team.
So, yeah, we touched on the financial situation. We're going to have to build up some funds over the next 2 Grand Prix. But yeah, Will Buxton, he normally asks questions that are quite complimentary to your team. But a lot of them were kind of daggered questions, making me feel uncomfortable or make certain parts of the team or departments feel uncomfortable. And so he's kind of screwed around with the morale there. So cheers to that, Will. I don't like to show the interviews with Will Buxton anyway, because I feel like he grinds the video to a halt. And these videos are already long enough anyway as it is. Anyway, here's the driver market. You can see Marcus is worth $2 million. Yeah, he's a bit overinflated, I'd have to say, at his current rating. But I don't want to kick him out. He doesn't warrant being kicked out. It's just unfortunate. We're just going to have to fork out the cash just to completely fulfill his contract. So, yeah, we'll. I'm pretty certain we will keep Marcus, unless by some miracle we win the lottery in the next couple of days. Then we can afford Lewis Hamilton, but in which case, Marcus is going to be the shoo-in for the rest of the season. Anyway, what are we up to next? The Belgian Grand Prix We fast-forwarded time. We've got a few upgrades that have actually gone on in time for this race. So I'm looking forward to somewhat of an uptake in performance. So we'll see exactly what the car can do around this place. A track which is, I'd say, neutral. It's neither weak nor strong for the player. But, I could be wrong on F1 2021. A lot of high-speed corners, and the AI tend to be very strong in high-speed corners, as we saw in Silverstone. They were just ridiculous. But anyway, let's check the performance upgrades. No, when I didn't. All right, sorry. So, for whatever reason, I haven't included the performance index. Basically, we are exactly where we were heading into this race. We're still ahead of the likes of Haas and Williams. Literally everyone made upgrades into this race, and parity has pretty much remained. No one has got further away from us, or we've not really got any closer to anyone. Everyone's just improved. So that's where we stand in that regard. Sorry I didn't have that graphic on display. But practice has been one and done. We got P11 there, which was quite good. But we did a glory run on soft compound tires. So there you go. Anyway, time for qualifying now. Let's see some on-track action. So that practice time that I did in P2 has me encouraged for what could be on Saturday qualifying. So here we go for Q1. I don't know if you noticed there, but it's actually set to rain in about 10 minutes. So my chances of actually going through into Q2 have actually gone up, because if some of the top teams are a bit complacent and wait too long, which sometimes they can do, they might not get a good time in before the rain hits. So I'm going to hopefully get 1 or 2 laps in before the rain hits. You can see it's bone dry now. And even the sky looks absolutely fine. So we might be able to get 2 runs in this if we're lucky. But this is Spa, and it takes about 5 million years to set any lap times around here. Anyway, first lap was in the books. And here's my second lap pushing on. And that's a bottle. Good. So we're going to swiftly get back to the pit lane. Half the grid has not set a time yet, which is interesting. We're pretty much matching George Russell's time, so it's all right. But we get out on circuit again, and what do you know? It's raining. Turn 1 actually got that pretty well nailed, yet we're 2/10 down. So that's game over. There's no time left in the circuit. It rained for the rest of the session, and that was it, unfortunately. P18 on the grid for the Belgian Grand Prix. We do get ahead of our teammate, which is nice. Yeah, the banking time could have been better, actually. If we're really on it, I probably could have matched Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo, and then maybe we might have been able to get out of Q1, but I don't think anything more than that was possible. We still seemingly don't have a phenomenal car, at least over the course of 1 lap. But the points are won on Sunday. So let's see what we can do. Anyway, as if this career mode wasn't hard enough for myself, we're actually going to make it even harder. I've seen some people get into Season 2, and as such, the team acclaim has gone skyrocketing when you complete a season. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to kind of balance that in advance by taking away the acclaim rate progression for myself and the team. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get into the Belgian Grand Prix.
Welcome along then to the Belgian Grand Prix, the race that gave us the maiden victory for the Jordan team in 1998. And in the same team, the phenomenal debut of a young Michael Schumacher. There's always something special around one of the many corners of this fan favourite circuit. Simply put it, there really is no place quite like Spa. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday puts him on pole, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Bottas, Ricciardo, Max Verstappen and Norris, Sainz, Perez, Vettel and Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Esteban Ocon and Tsunoda, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, George Russell and Benjamin, Mick Schumacher, Armstrong, Latifi and Nikita Mazepin. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Thanks for that, Crofty. Here we are on the grid in P18. It's going to be a tough race today. There's no getting around that. We're going to have to hope for some safety cars, some good strategy on our part. What I am going to push for is what you see on screen, the two softer compound tyres. Soft to medium. I just want to check what everyone else is doing. They are all on soft. So you know what? I'm going to go for a different strategy. I'm going to start on mediums and we're going to end on softs. You never know. This might absolutely make our race if there's, say, a late race safety car. So, yeah, we'll start on the mediums. If Lady Luck is not on our side and a safety car comes out early, then we'll have to use the hards like everyone else, or most others, I would assume. We're going to take out a bit of fuel as well. We've been overfueling the car a bit in the last couple of episodes. I think we can push the envelope a little bit more, and that's what I'm going to do, especially when I feel like points might be at stake. 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Belgian Grand Prix. Looks like a decent start on the harder compounded tyre. Russell getting off to an electrifying start. We got the inside of 2 Alfa Romeos and Russell down into turn 1. Side by side with Tsunoda on the exit. And there's a bit of contact for our front wing there. Hopefully no front wing damage for us. Doesn't look like there is. We're absolutely fine. We're going to press on and follow Tsunoda up the hill with both the Alfa Romeos with the watching brief. As we know, those guys are usually a rocket ship in a straight line. So with those two behind, keeping the position is going to be difficult. As you can see, Tsunoda breaking quite early into the late comp chicane. Somehow we managed to avoid smashing into the back of him with simulation damage. But also we managed to avoid not locking up, which was, I think, just as impressive. Anyway, here comes my teammate. He's overtaken both the Alphas, and now we're just going to actually let him go through there because he's got much better pace. I am understeering like a washing machine through this middle sector. I have the aerodynamic capabilities of a washing machine, I'd say. Marduk Motorsport car, washing machine, chuck them both in a wind tunnel. I think they're both probably just as efficient at high speed. Anyway, yeah, I do not feel great. Speaking of not great, I think one of the Alfa Romeos back there doesn't feel great either. Here's a move for Raikkonen up the inside. Oh my goodness, it's Giovinazzi. It's the innocent party and all that. Or is he so innocent? Because he just completely ran into the back of his teammate. Raikkonen went for a move which was not on, was never side by side with us. He went slowly, and then Gio just completely ran into the back of his teammate. Or into the side of his teammate, sent himself spinning, and that's one less Alfa Romeo to worry about in this race. As you can see, they're coming out of the pit lane now. Anyway, speaking of bad luck, it's Sergio Perez once again with a retirement. I mean, can this guy get any luck in this series? Yellow flag has now been deployed, and Raikkonen's just overtaken us under yellow flag. What's this guy playing at? Sergio Perez is out of the Grand Prix. We've bowled a wide there. And George Russell has also overtaken us under yellow flag. There's not Raikkonen. Sergio Perez's car smoking up on the right-hand side. And George Russell goes, oh yeah, good opportunity to get a free move here. No, that's illegal. You have just cheated your way into P16, George Russell. I expect a drive-through penalty or for you to hand the place back. Neither of which are happening. Side by side, almost down into the bus stop chicane. And I can't believe this, but Raikkonen and Russell have not been penalised. They've got away with it. Michael Massey, fellow Australian, thought you meant to be looking out for me here. He has not helped. And as you can see, we showed George Russell how we feel about that overtake on the last lap. So, yeah, I can't believe that they were allowed to get away with an illegal overtake. I would get sent to F1 racing prison for that. And these guys have got off scot-free. Maybe a bit of karma for me swiping at George Russell. I've now got some DRS issues, so I won't be able to open up the rear flap. George Russell made an early pit stop, by the way, and now Schumacher is all over me as we head into the middle sector. I'm really understeering now. Or is this all of a sudden a now problem? I think this has been a race-long problem. Ever since the race kind of opened up after the first few laps, I've really felt exposed. That being my lack of pace relative to those ahead or around me, to be honest. That's Raikkonen now overtaking my teammate. All the race leaders are into the pit lane now for their hard compound tyres. They've gone a decent way into the Grand Prix. No, the front runners are opting for mediums. So, there you go. Fernando Alonso comes out of the pit lane just ahead of us. We might fancy a move here if we're feeling brave. We'll see how we exit Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Two corners in which are very, very sketchy this year. And there have been a half a dozen times this race already where I felt like I'm going to lose the car. But here's a move on Alonso down into the Les Combes chicane. Lewis Hamilton, that is how it's done. Getting the job done straight away on the two-time world champion. P13 for us. Drifting in backwards into the understeery right-hander. But, yeah, it's P13. But it's a short-lived P13 because we've still got to make our stop yet. So, yeah, that's going to be a rough set of pit stops for us. Hopefully it's just the one. I don't know why I said plural there. Meanwhile, I'm having an internal discussion within myself. Alonso has just absolutely banged me around the outside. Thank you very much. That is world champion material in what is a much faster car on much fresher tyres. Wow! How's the lift through there? I had to lift, otherwise I was going straight into that barrier. That was ridiculous. Here comes another race winner. Esteban Ocon. What a surprise that was on Sunday, by the way. Half the grid now, I think I read somewhere on Twitter. That half the grid in F1 has won a race now. That is unbelievable scenes. Anyway, we're now just holding everybody up for fun at this point as I'm trying to stretch to my pit window. I think around lap 13, 14-ish, and then we're going to put on the soft compound tyres. I am wondering whether I've got some front wing damage because this is just ridiculous. I am just getting in everyone's way. I've lost so much ground to my teammate Marcus Armstrong. But yeah, just the high-speed corner. I just seem to be losing so much time to the AI. It's starting to become... Yeah, look at that. That's, again, another massive lift just to make it through the corner. No damage on the MFD. So I'm a bit bemused. Either the AI are ridiculously OP in high-speed corners, which is something that's starting to become common knowledge now anyway. But this is just on a whole other level. As you can see, we actually make a move on Tsunoda into the middle sector. That was against the grain, and Tsunoda's made a mistake. Either that or I've taken him out. So here's the replay just to clarify things. We go around the outside of the AlphaTauri driver. He gets caught up on the curb. So I was fearing that I actually turned across him here and tapped him into a spin. But no, it was the curb. So I can rest easy tonight. Where was I? Yeah, the AI are pretty strong in high-speed corners. I think that was evidence in Silverstone. But also, if you closely analyze the way the AI have been getting their lap time in this game, yeah, it makes sense. The last 2 corners at Austria as well, by the way, are really strong for the AI. Something which I'm not looking forward to for tonight's co-op race at Austria in the Williams. Big F's in chat for us. But anyway, into the pit lane we go, and we're getting a front wing change. So, turns out we did have front wing damage. Must have been from the first lap incident. The ever so slight contact with Yuki Tsunoda at turn 1, I'd say. But yeah, strangely, there was nothing on the damage indicator. The change front wing option was set to auto, which again massively confused me. So yeah, hopefully that'll alleviate our pace issues. As there goes my teammate, round and round he goes. The Spinala auditioning for the Ferrari main role in a few years' time. Hopefully Mattia Binotto was impressed by that one. Anyway, that's unfortunate for Marcus. He was trying to put some pressure on the Alfa Romeo of Raikkonen, but he can now put those plans to bed, and he's just trying to keep the Haas drivers at bay, Schumacher and Mazepin. Mazepin of which has actually got a problem. Jeff was telling me there's something slowing him down. Not really sure what it is, but I guess we'll find out in a second as we're catching up to him rapidly on the soft compound tyres. These tyres, by the way, are absolutely phenomenal. As you can see through the high-speed corners. Whoa. Wow. What Mazepin was doing right there is how I felt relative to the AI. It's kind of nice to have the shoe on the other foot at the back end of this race now. 5 laps to go. Catching up to Schumacher. We might be an outside chance of getting our teammate Armstrong as well, as we seem to be catching him by about a second, maybe 2 seconds a lap at this stage. Schumacher going defensive into the last 2 corners. And we get him around the outside. Superior traction, superior grip, superior car. Ever so slightly. And that is job done. Next up is my teammate, Marcus. Like I said, the gap is now only about a second. So we are rapidly closing the gap. Meanwhile, Mick Schumacher's day gets even worse. He just got overtaken by me, and now he's overtaken himself, trying to get the rear end ahead of the front end. Looks like it's worked out, and there goes Giovinazzi for a free position. So, yeah, quite a few mistakes for people up and down the grid today. Hopefully there's a few more in store, and we might be able to get some outside points, but it's looking unlikely. Last lap of the Grand Prix, final roll of the dice, trying to get ahead of our teammate. Marcus doesn't make it difficult for us. We give him a bit of a wave, and that is P15 for us. In the end, doesn't matter who finishes ahead in the driver order. There's still 0 points for Marduk Motorsport today. Lewis Hamilton wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Pretty dominant win in the end there. And for us, yeah, not an ideal day. I mean, even with the perfect race, we weren't getting points today. We ultimately just need more pace.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So there we go. Hamilton gets himself another victory. Mercedes looking very formidable. I think this is their championship now. You know, Red Bull just haven't been there pace-wise, but they also haven't been there in terms of just general reliability either. Verstappen struggling to win races. Red Bull finishing has been a problem as well, so they're not going to be contesting the Constructors. this season. However, they have had some upgrades heading into this race. It still doesn't look like it's enough to topple the might of the Silver Arrows. Anyway, for us, it's P15 and P16. At the end of the day, that's actually not a horrible result. Probably fair, given where our car sits. We're trying to put the pressure on Alfa Romeo. On a good day, I think we can beat them. But we didn't exactly have a good day. We had the damage and the change of front wing. Marcus had his spin. But even before those issues for either of us, Raikkonen was already ahead of us. So not much we could have done there. We just need to continue to work on the car. I think heading into Monza, we might be a little bit stronger. So let's hope we can muster a bit of pace there. But crucially, we're still ahead of Alfa Romeo. As long as they're not scoring points, we're doing okay in the Constructors. We need that big bonus at the end of the season, because that bonus money is going to be chucked 100% into facilities for Season 2. But that's it from me today, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Belgian Grand Prix. Pretty wild and wacky at times, but at the end of the day, we managed to salvage a pretty good result and still move forward despite having some issues. So it's not all doom and gloom. We can still have a far from ideal day and actually achieve some good objectives there. So yeah, I think a good result isn't too far away. Don't think it's going to be at the Dutch Grand Prix, but Monza, we are going to be chucking everything at that racetrack to get our 3rd points finish of the season. Wish me luck. Until the next video, I'll see you next time.